With the Naviglio Milk, Gaggia has really put the milk into this machine, and that's due to the two ways that this machine can actually produce specialty milk beverages at home. Now, attached to the front of the machine right now, that's the Capp and Cup system, and we'll get to that in just a sec. But that allows the machine to produce a cappuccino from start to finish with just the touch of a button. But for those who want to try their hand at more manual milk frothing, Gaggia has also included a Pannarello style steam wand. Now, this is a wand that's a bit of a shortcut for manual frothing because it aerates milk more easily than a traditional commercial wand, but it still gives you control, and you'll use a frothing pitcher to do so. We'll take a look at that too, so let's do it. Let's take a look now at how we would make a one-touch cappuccino using the Naviglio Milk. So one thing I do want to point out just before we get started is that the Capp and Cup and this tube are included with the Naviglio, but our nice Gaggia carafe here is not. So this is an accessory that you can purchase along with the machine, but the pickup tube can actually be placed in any kind of container of milk. It's, a cup, a pitcher, anything works. But this nice carafe is on brand, and I'll show you after we're done making our drink how we can actually get it set up to put in the refrigerator between use. So if you've watched my segment on preparing coffees with the Naviglio Milk, then you know that you can use the coffee button here and press and hold it to program the volume of your drink. Well, we're gonna do that same thing actually with our cappuccino. Now, out of the box, it's gonna default to a traditional Italian cappuccino, but if you want to customize that to your tastes, you can go ahead and simply press and hold this button. And when I do, you'll see these other lights surrounding the cappuccino turn off, and then this will be flashing, letting us know that we're programming. Then, once our desired volume of milk has been dispensed, we'll push that button, and then we'll go into brew, do the same thing again for our espresso, and our cappuccino will be programmed for next time. And that's a nice looking cappuccino. So if you were to press that button again, as long as you've got your milk hooked up to the Capp and Cup here, you could make that same drink again with just that one push. But let's go ahead now and take a look at a couple of things that you should be doing after you're done using the milk system. So one thing is just to get this line rinsed here and the spout. So we'll take two pitchers. I've got two handy here. And we'll get one right underneath that milk spout, and we'll actually take our tube. This is fresh water. We'll just go ahead and lift this out, and then we'll push the steam button. This is going to siphon this water up through the tube, and we can use that to rinse the Capp and Cup system. And now our lights are flashing up here just as the machine heats up to steam temperature. That looks clear, so we've got our clean line, and then what we can do too is just, if you want, with a nice clean towel, wipe down the spout so that it's not dripping, and then you've got the system ready to go again. Now, if you're done with preparing milk drinks though, we can go right on ahead and take our pitcher, just get some of that milk off of there, and I'll go ahead, take my line, and drop that back into the center. So that slides right down in. And then what we'll do is we can actually remove the hose from its fitting here on the Capp and Cup, and then fit that right over the post on the top of the carafe. And now you've got that sealed, and you can store it in the refrigerator in between use. And that's how you'd prepare a one-touch cappuccino and get your machine ready for another go on the Naviglio Milk. If you want to try your hand at manual frothing with the Naviglio Milk, that's going to use the Pannarello wand that we just took a look at. So just to give you a sense for what you have to do to remove the cap and cup, this is actually a two-piece sort of assembly here. I mean, there's more pieces here, obviously, but all we'll do is go ahead and pull this down, and then that slides off of the rubberized piece here, and then we can simply shimmy that guy off. And if you notice, there's a little notch right here in the steam wand that helps secure the entire assembly in place. So for the Pannarello style wand, this rubber elbow will basically fit about here and hold it in place. So we'll simply go ahead and insert the tube into the wand and slide it until we feel that secure. So that is how you would get the Pannarello on. And now this is going to be pretty basic from here on out, but couple of tips if you've never frothed milk before. You want to get a pitcher that's going to be suitable for the size drink that you're making. So this is a 10-ounce pitcher. You probably couldn't tell that by looking at it, but a 10 to 12-ounce pitcher is going to be great for making single drinks. So if you're making, let's say, a 6 to 8-ounce cappuccino, you'll want something like this. And you might say, oh, well, that's a 10 to 12-ounce pitcher. Your milk is going to expand as you add air into it. So if you poured 6 ounces of milk into this pitcher, the actual volume, the size that it's taking up, it's going to be increased quite a bit as you've added that foam. So you do want a pitcher that's the appropriate size. Now, if you had something that was too big, say, what will happen is when you're trying to position the wand into the pitcher, you're going to have to go very, very far down just to try to reach that milk. So having something that's the appropriate size and shape is helpful. So get yourself a pitcher. Don't try using something like a measuring cup. It's just not as good a time as you would have. So let's go ahead, though, and first start with just getting our machine ready to steam. We'll go ahead and push the steam button, and all I'm going to do is purge some of the condensation out of this wand before we start frothing. And while that's happening, I'll just get my other pitcher full of milk here. And now the great thing is, now that we've purged, the machine is already hot now, and we'll be able to just start steaming. So let's go right on ahead. We'll get the tip of the wand positioned under the milk, and there's a little air intake right at the top of that wand there. That's where the air is going to be drawn in and then injected down into our milk here. And so what you can do is, as the foam rises in this pitcher, if you want to stop adding more air, once the volume is high enough, you can actually move this up to cover that hole. So we're not quite there yet, or you can continue to lower the pitcher down just to give yourself a little more clearance. And so you're going to be looking for the foam texture that you want and the temperature of the milk. And now for me, I want to hold that until it's just a little too hot, and we can go ahead and press that button. You just want to make sure that the wand is still in the milk so that you can basically make sure you don't have any steam splashing all over. So we'll go ahead and we'll take this cloth here. And you know, one of the things that's nice is that with the plastic Pannarellos, there's less likelihood of that milk burning onto there. So what we'll do now, though, is actually cappuccino is milk first. So let's go right on ahead, and we've got a nice foam here. We'll pour that in, and we've got a good separation, and that's quite a bit. We'll go right ahead now and brew our espresso. So look at that, and that's a really great head of foam that we got on that cappuccino. Now, here's something that you can take note of too, because this is a little bit of a, call it a life hack maybe, but if you have just finished brewing, steaming, what you can do is you can actually go right on ahead and do a little purge using the hot water button. We'll press and hold that. And this will run any of the extra hot steam or water out of the machine, and that can get some of the milk cleaned out of this wand, and then we'll simply go ahead and press that to stop. If you brew directly after steaming, your coffee is actually going to be brewed at an even hotter temperature. So if you really want that cappuccino as hot as you can go, you can certainly do that. But you always do want to make sure that you've purged this wand at some point after steaming. And one thing just to take note of too is that this is composed of more than one piece, so we can shimmy that off. And you'll see there's just going to be a little milk inside the tube here and on the inside of this elbow. You'll want to go ahead and take that to the sink and rinse it so that it's clean for the next use. But that's how you would use the Pannarello wand to make a drink on the Gaggia Naviglio Milk. If you've stuck with me this long, I want to show you a little bit of a trick that can get some more functionality out of your Naviglio. So again, if you had watched my section on coffee brewing, you do know that there is a single coffee button on this machine, and that can either be programmed for your espresso or for a long drink. Now, if you're in a household that can't abide by pressing that button again to say stop it so that you've got your espresso, let me show you how to make something called an Americano using the Naviglio milk. So with our espresso dispensed, we'll go ahead and press and hold that hot water button. An Americano is a drink that combines a espresso with hot water. And the difference here is also going to be in the flavor profile, not just in how we're preparing it, because on that long coffee, all the water was being drawn through the puck, which means that not only are we extracting some of the sweeter, juicier elements of the espresso, but also some of the more bitter and carbonized components that might not otherwise be extracted on a shorter extraction. With the Americano, we are basically taking all of the best elements of the espresso and kind of stretching them out a bit with the addition of some hot water. So if you're in a household that wants this espresso button to be espressos, don't fret, you can still use the cap and cup and the hot water to make yourself an Americano pretty easily.